I'm Joe Fryer. Good to have you with us on this Monday.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to begin this morning with those devastating storms in Tennessee. At least 6 people were killed, including 2 children, after multiple tornadoes ripped through the state.
More than 60 people were hurt in the storms, which tossed cars, down trees, and ripped apart homes. Take a look at this video. You can see the moment a twister caused an explosion, lighting up the night sky. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee toured the damage in hard-hit Madison, that's just outside of Nashville. Despite the destruction, he said that he is inspired by how the community is rallying together.
I would say to the victims that there is hope, because the people around you that live in this community, that live in this state, they love you, they care about you. And while we cannot erase the pain and the difficulty and the heartbreak of what's happened to you, we can come alongside you, and that's what we implore Tennesseans to do, and we're watching it happen even today. So for me, there's great hope in that, watching Tennesseans be Tennesseans when some of their neighbors have had the worst days of their life.
In the aftermath of the storm, survivors are sharing their stories, including one woman who says the tornado hit so fast she barely had time to react.
Picked me up. I was trying to go in the closet when I got that alert. I just remember opening the closet door and just turning around. The wind just took me, and I just remember waking up on this side of my house looking for my home, and then I saw my children over there, and my husband was in the debris back there. I went back barefooted. I didn't have on any clothing, hardly, just a robe, and helped him up and across the street. So yeah, it's pretty quick.
Now let's bring in meteorologist Michelle Grossman for a look at where that line of storms is now and the rest of your Morning News Now weather.
Hey there, Michelle. Good morning.
Hey there, guys. Great to see you. And it was a tough weekend. We had that strong cold front move through. We're still seeing impacts this morning, but things are improving, and we're going to be much quieter over the next several hours. We're seeing this cold front on the move, and it's moving quickly. So this is what it looks like on radar right now. We have some lake effect snow showers coming in. That's showing us that we have that cold air working behind this cold front. And we're going to see temperatures 20 degrees below what we saw yesterday in many spots, and actually below average. In terms of the precipitation, we're still looking at very heavy rain in spots. Where you see those darker colors, the reds, the oranges, the yellows, that's where we're seeing the heaviest rain falling. But notice it's now to the northeast and also New England. On the backside of this, we're seeing some snow coming in. Even in the Philadelphia suburbs, we're seeing that snow falling because that cold air is making that changeover to snow. Now, in terms of alerts, we have a lot of them. We have winter weather alerts. We have winter weather advisories. The winter storm warning, that is in the pink, and that's where we're going to see heavy, wet snow in portions of upstate New York into New England. We could see nearly a foot of snow in portions of the highest elevations of Maine. That would be close to the Canadian border. We're also looking at flood warnings, flood watches. Where you see this red here, that is a flood warning. That means flooding is happening now or it's imminent. So including Boston, Hartford, just north of Portland into Bangor, telling us that we have a really tough commute for many of us as we start out this Monday morning. But again, by later on this afternoon, the evening commute looking so much better. We are expecting snow in portions of upstate New York, into parts of northern New England, and also along the Appalachians, we're going to see some snow as well. We have seen some snow already. In terms of the rainfall, excessive rainfall is likely in parts of northern New England, specifically into Maine, especially in the northern part of Maine, where you see this darker blue here. That is a higher risk of seeing some flash flooding. So we're going to see 1 to 2 inches of rain per hour. That's a lot of rain in a short amount of time. On top of that, that's going to melt some snow. So that's why we're expecting some flooding. Here are some totals as we go throughout the rest of the day. Notice not a whole lot more rain expecting in most parts of New England. But once we get close to the northern parts of Maine, the coastal parts of Maine, we're looking at some heavy rain. So we could see 1 to 2 inches there, even 3 if we see some convective bands setting up. And then in addition to that, we're looking at really windy conditions. Winds are going to gust 60 to 70 miles per hour. That's going to cause some power outages in addition to that really cold air that's in place. On the backside of this, where we're seeing that cold air, we're looking at the snow falling in. Again, we could see up to a foot of snow. That would be in the higher elevations of Maine. But some spots where we see the winter weather advisory, we could see a few inches as well. Windy. It's going to be very, very windy as this storm continues to strengthen that area of low pressure in parts of northern Maine and northern New England. So we're going to see winds gusting up to 61 miles per hour in Nantucket. So along the Cape into Long Island, New England, even higher than that, right along the coastal parts of Maine, we could see winds gusting up to 70 miles per hour. Also could see inundation of water. That's sort of where you see that wall of water going over dry land. So if you live along these coastal areas, you know where you are. You want to move those cars back, get them to dry land so we don't see any damage to the cars. This system will finally depart. It's departing quickly at this hour. We're going to see much quieter conditions as we go throughout the next couple of hours, especially into the afternoon, especially into the evening hours as well. So for the rest of the country, we're looking good, actually, above normal. In the middle of the country, from the central plains to the southern plains, temperatures in the 50s and 60s. It's a big area of high pressure. That's good news, and that's going to bring a pretty nice day. It's going to be chilly in the northern plains, but we're going to be dry there. Then our next weather system is in the west. We're going to look at snow and wind and rain in portions of the Intermountain West. Where you see the green, that is the rain falling. That would be in the lower elevations. The higher elevation, the mountain snow, is where you see the blue. We're going to continue to watch this as it moves across the country. So this is going to be our next weather maker as it moves across the country. The Southwest looking good today with some sunshine as well. Then as we near Wednesday, December warmth in portions of the Intermountain West into the northern plains, although if you look at those numbers, it feels kind of chilly to me. But for that area, looking good. The Pacific Northwest, we are looking at some rain falling on Wednesday. Not a whole lot, but still looking at some showers. Still dry in the Southwest with temperatures in the 70s. And there in the South Central states, we're looking at temperatures in the Four Corners as well. Looking at some rain falling throughout the Rockies. Looking at some lower elevation rain in portions of the South Central states into the Central states. Sunny and mild. This is good news throughout the Carolinas into the Northeast. Parts of New England could see a little lake effect snow in parts of New England, but for the most part, we're going to be drier as we near Wednesday. And then as we get towards Friday, scattered snow showers throughout the Intermountain West. We're going to be pretty soggy throughout the South Central states and the Gulf Coast states. You're going to need your umbrellas there. Temperatures are going to be held down too because of that rain. We're looking at temperatures in the 40s and 50s. And finally, on a Friday, we are looking at warm sunshine in portions of the Northeast and parts of New England. So something to look forward to. Back to you guys.
We will take that. All right,
exactly.
Michelle, thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, the ongoing $250 million civil fraud trial here in New York against former President Trump is heading into its final week. Trump was expected to take the stand today in his own defense, but in a dramatic reversal, he has decided not to testify.
Trump made that announcement on social media Sunday. He said he had nothing more to say and once again called the case a witch hunt. Trump is accused of inflating the values of his assets and properties to his advantage. He has denied any wrongdoing.
For the latest, let's bring in NBC News correspondent Bon Hilliard and NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas. Good morning to both of you. Von, we'll get started with you. So last month, Trump was very combative when he was grilled on the stand by the New York Attorney General's office. Do we think, knowing how that kind of played out, that could have played a role in his decision not to testify in his own defense? And if so, why the flip-flop?
Right, Savannah. Last month, it was 3.5 hours that he testified on the stand. But in that particular testimony, he was answering the questions from the New York Attorney General's office prosecutors here. In this scenario, if he had gone to the courthouse today, he would have been answering questions from his own defense lawyers. And the thought was that this would be an opportunity for him to speak for potentially several hours about the history of the company and the accounting of it. But ultimately, Donald Trump in that post last night saying, I have very successfully and conclusively testified in the corrupt Biden-directed New York State Attorney General's rigged trial against me, suggesting that he has already left everything that he has to say inside of that courtroom and that this trial is already going in the direction against him. Of course, one of the claims of repeated fraud has already been found. He's been found liable for from the judge. The judge, it's up to him to determine whether he's liable for 6 other claims as well.
Danny, last week we saw Eric Trump back out of testifying, now his dad. What do you make of this strategy here?
When you're defending a case, you line up all your witnesses, you transport them there, you have them all ready to go, but you have to make snap decisions as the case nears its end. So I expect that the defense team got in a room and they said, okay, here's who we have left, including Trump. Do we need him? Did we get this piece in? Did we get this fact in? Do we need this piece of evidence? Because from there, especially if you're calling your client, you're engaging in a balancing test. What is the risk of putting him on the stand and what is the benefit? And if at this stage they conclude that, you know, we put him on the list just in case, but we've gotten everything in that we need, we don't need to put him on the stand. I do that all the time. I may have a list of a dozen more people I could call, but you know what? Go on home. We're not going to need you. And I wait till the very last minute to make that decision because you never want to be caught unprepared and unable to call witnesses if you need them. That is sort of that's the motivating incentive. It's terror. It's, geez, what if it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it when it comes to witnesses. So this may just be a decision at the end of the case. Hey, we thought we would call them. We don't need them.
Danny, last week, one of the other people that we saw take the stand was this accounting professor that was hired by Trump's team. He said that the attorney general's sort of calculations here, case about fraud, had no merit based on looking at things. Walk us through that. I mean, tell us both sides of this and then what it is that is indicating that to him.
Probably the defense's most compelling witness. And I think what people are seeing is this is a great example of how a case can turn into battle of the experts. And I don't want to sound jaded, but no matter what the issue is, much as we think of science as this cold, unyielding study, you can find an expert in virtually any industry, any area, and then you can go find another expert and have them testify diametrically opposed to each other, if you pay them enough. I'm not saying that they color their testimony, but these experts are expensive, and they're expensive for a reason. They can turn the tide of a case. Even if the defense in this case is not looking so good, if that expert was compelling enough, that can go a long way. Even if your case is overall not so strong, an expert that overpowers the government's expert can change the tide.
Let's look ahead here, Vaughn. The trial resumes tomorrow. Closing arguments, so not expected to take place till a month from today, January 11th. What can we expect now in these final stages of the trial?
Right. Trial will come back in tomorrow, now that Donald Trump is not testifying here. And that very expert, that accounting expert from NYU, will be taking the stand, but this time answering questions from the New York Attorney General's office. We then expect two rebuttal witnesses to come forward from the New York Attorney General's offices before trial all becomes to a close here this week. And then on January 5th is when both sides have to file their respective reports with the judge as to why they believe each of these claims should be ruled in their favor. And then come January 11th is when we expect closing arguments. Of course, the timing of this is all to note. January 15th is the Iowa caucus, the first nominating state in which voters will have the chance to pick their candidate in the Republican primary for the 2024 presidency. But then we will not expect for at least several more weeks there, ultimately, the decision of the judge to come forward. So we're looking early 2024 for this final ruling to come forward.
All right, Vaughn and Danny, thank you both very much.
Turn our attention now to the Middle East, where Israeli warplanes are pounding the Gaza Strip again this morning.
On the ground, Israeli troops are focusing their fire on the southern city of Khan Yunis. UN officials say the city is on the verge of collapse. The Israeli Defense Forces have been telling Palestinians who fled from the north to this area to go even farther south. The violence comes amid a renewed push for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. The United Nations General Assembly is expected to vote tomorrow on a resolution demanding an end to hostilities. But this is just days after the United States vetoed a similar Security Council measure. The chief of the UN Aid Agency for Palestinians called the situation in Gaza, quote, the worst he'd ever seen.
We definitely have failed the Palestinians so far. And the dehumanization dimension is a worrying trend, because this has made the unbearable bearable for the international community, has made the unbearable we see continuously on the news bearable again.
NBC News correspondent Hala Garani joins us now from Tel Aviv. Hala, let's start with the fighting in Gaza. What are we seeing this morning?
Well, we're seeing a deeper offensive by the Israeli military. You mentioned Khan Yunis. This is the largest city in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. And the IDF, the Israeli military, is asking Gaza residents to evacuate large parts of Khan Yunis. And many of our viewers will remember that that's where the Israeli military and the government told Gazans to evacuate to for safety. So they're being pushed into smaller and smaller enclaves, including Rafah, right near the Egyptian border. And we're seeing this infrastructure there, hospitals, a humanitarian network as well, under deep strain as the IDF continues to hit targets both in the south, hundreds every day, as well as in the north, the northern part of the Gaza Strip, where the Israeli military says it is fighting Hamas militants.
So what is the latest, by the way, on the hostage situation? What are we hearing on efforts to try and rekindle that?
Well, I've been in touch with my Qatari contacts. Of course, Qatar has been an important mediator in these hostage negotiations. They have close political ties with Hamas. They have been also a funder of Hamas over many years. And if I'm being completely honest with you, we're really not hearing much. There is not a lot of hope right now that these negotiations will be rekindled. And we're really at a stage where it seems as though the talks have broken down. Last week, Israel pulled its mediators from Doha in Qatar. And even though there appear to be some negotiations happening really through Qatar remotely, there isn't much hope that in the immediate future anything will come out of any talks.
Hala, I want to ask you about what we just mentioned a moment ago, which is the Biden administration coming under criticism this weekend. Two things here. Vetoing a Security Council resolution on Friday that called for an immediate ceasefire. Also approving a $106 million sale of emergency arms to Israel. How is Washington justifying these decisions? And is it concerned about appearing increasingly isolated on these issues on the world stage?
Well, I can give you the Arab world reaction. I mean, some of the news headlines I've been reading from across the Middle East are essentially conflating the U.S. with Israel and its policy in Gaza. They are dismayed and they are disappointed in the American veto, although it has to be said it was expected that the U.S. would use its veto within the Security Council to that UAE-sponsored resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire. This is how Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State, justified the U.S.'s move yesterday.
There needs to be a premium put on protecting civilians and making sure that humanitarian assistance can get to everyone who needs it. And as I said, I think the intent is there, but the results are not always manifesting themselves. We have to make sure that we're on the path to a durable and sustainable peace. From our perspective, I think from the perspective of many around the world, that has to lead to a Palestinian state. We're not going to have durable peace. We're not going to have durable security for Israel unless and until Palestinian political aspirations are met.
So this has been the call by the U.S., not necessarily based on what's happening on the ground, a call heeded by the Netanyahu government.
So, Hala, we also got a fresh warning from the World Health Organization about the health system in Gaza. We understand it's also adopted a resolution calling for immediate and unimpeded humanitarian access. What more can you tell us about that and the significance of it?
Well, we've been monitoring the situation in Gaza, as many of our viewers and you know. We are not given access to Gaza either by the Israeli authorities or, it has to be said, by the Egyptian authorities in the south. So we're relying on information from our very courageous teams on the ground that are sending video and information back to us. And what's happening really is it's difficult to overstate. In the north, the medical system has collapsed. In the south, it is under tremendous pressure. And some of what we're hearing is that just what should be, benign conditions are going untreated. Colds, skin conditions, diarrhea, chest infections that are turning into pneumonia. We were able to receive video from one of our NBC crew on the ground of a mother who is caring for a child with special needs, and she's explaining how difficult it is to get just basic care for her son. Take a look.
My son's condition, diarrhea and stomach poisoning, flu-like symptoms because of the cold, as you can see. We don't have shelter nor life. We came from Gaza. We are looking for medication we can't find. I mean, my son needs medication, injections. We can't find treatment.
Right. Well, these are stories we're hearing over and over again every single day coming from people in Gaza. As I mentioned, pushed into a smaller and smaller enclave almost every day. Savannah and Joe?
Hala, also before we let you go, we understand Palestinians in the occupied West Bank are striking today in this show of solidarity with Gaza. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Right, so they are striking public services, transport, public employees, employees of municipalities, and the government of the Palestinian Authority. And their call is for strikes outside of the region. We'll see if those calls are heeded, if they yield to anything tangible on the ground. But essentially, they are calling today, December 11th, a call for action, a call to strike against the Israeli military offensive in Gaza, and also what they see as increasing violence against Palestinians in the West Bank, both by settlers and the Israeli military. We've seen much more of that just in the last few weeks as well. Back to you.
All right, Hala, thank you so much for your reporting this morning. We appreciate it.
University of Pennsylvania President Liz Magill resigned this Saturday following a wave of criticism for her congressional testimony on campus anti-Semitism.
Her resignation prompted New York Representative Elise Stefanik, who went viral for her questioning in that congressional hearing, to post this on X: 1 down, 2 to go. The two others she's referring to are MIT President Sally Kornbluth and Harvard's President Dr. Claudine Gay, who's also now facing a wave of criticism and growing calls to step down.
NBC News correspondent Antonia Hilton joins us with the latest here. Hi, Antonia. Good morning. So first, just walk us through the backlash that we saw after that hearing.
Good morning, guys. Yes, so to catch you up, this all stems to last week's hearing at which these 3 university leaders were pressed for about 6 hours. But really what happened is these 30 to 90-second exchanges went viral, in which you see Representative Elise Stefanik, a Republican from New York, pressing the 3 of them about whether calls for genocide against Jewish students on campus would amount to any kind of action, whether it violated codes of conduct. And what you saw with these 3 leaders, in the view of many people, kind of take an evasive or a roundabout way of answering the question, focused more on sort of how the code of conduct would look at these things and not making very clear their stance on these calls or, you know, their own beliefs about the experiences of Jewish students on campus. And so you saw lawmakers hammer them there. And then there was an immense reaction across the country. I mean, dozens of lawmakers now calling for these these other 2 to resign, including Claudine Gay, but also multi-million-dollar mega donors pushing now for these university leaders to step down. And they show no signs, at least as of now, of slowing down, guys.
And ultimately, they're the ones who might have the most power here in what happens. So with this focus now on Harvard's president, what might we expect? How is she responding? Is this similar or could it be different from what we saw in Pennsylvania?
It could be different. What we're seeing so far is that she has been apologetic. She's spoken with students at the Crimson, which is Harvard's campus newspaper, and apologized and made clear that she denounces any calls for genocide, that she's seeking to support Jewish students on campus. But what we're hearing from some of the students who I've spoken to is that there is still dismay at the words used and her inability to make that clear in front of our nation's leaders, but also a desire to not allow that kind of political and moneyed influence on campus. So people feel a bit torn on this. I want you to take a listen, though, to the actual exchange that happened last week.
Anti-Semitic rhetoric, when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation, that is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign.
So you can see there this sort of indirectness in which those exchanges went around and around, and they were pretty similar for the 3 university presidents. What we're seeing in the case of Claudine Gay is that hundreds of faculty are signing letters right now that are being delivered to the Harvard Corporation, the all-powerful governing body, resisting this outside influence and asking them to not take the step of having her resign. And so whether those faculty members, whether some of the students who have spoken up have any impact remains to be seen. But as of right now, we're not seeing signs that Claudine Gay is stepping down anytime soon.
All right, Antonia Hilton, thank you very much for your reporting here, getting us up to speed.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.